Hello. So we are back with another class, and just a quick recap about what we have learned till now. So we know a little bit about Python is like serious about indentation things, and then how to use that proper indentation, and you can use your own choice. I mean, like if you want like two spaces, four spaces, it's up to you, but it has to be consistent. Okay, and we'll learn about these if statements. You don't really have to worry about this thing, just leave it for now. And then we have learned about like some little bit of variables, and then how to make comments, and then comments would be in a single line and as well as a multiple lines also. And we have learned about like how variables are being created, and then what is the correct naming format of those variables. And then at the exercise part, we just created some different 5 variables. Those would be the different names of the variables, and then at everyone we have just stored 50. Okay, and now let's just move towards assigning multiple values to a variable. Okay, I mean like how you can create multiple variables at once. Okay, so one of the best thing about Python, which I really personally love, is you can create multiple variables at once. I mean, like just look at this example. So orange, banana, cherry, all separated by a comma, and then x, y, and z all separated by a comma. Now what we have did here is that we have created 3 variables of name xyz, and all of them are storing this string orange, banana, and cherry. And we know how to print this to the screen. And one more thing I just want to tell you guys is that you guys must be thinking, I mean like what whenever I just print anything that includes a message, I am kind of like using these quotation signs and then my message. But when I'm printing anything that is itself having a value inside it, then I'm not using those quotation signs. So that is like whenever something is written inside quotation signs, it's just telling the computer to just print whatever it's inside. And whenever you are using something without the quotation signs, then the computer is kind of taking it as a variable or something complicated or complex. Okay, so a bit overview about like what we have been doing in the compiler part also. So in the beginning, this part we have been uh, learning about the indentation thing, and if something is not indented, then it's not considered a part of it. Okay, and the indentation should be consistent. I mean like the first line was okay, but the second line wasn't matching. Okay, and then we've learned about the commands thing, and then we have what we just did was just made like multiple line commands. And then what we just did, it was like we just changed the type of something and stored that inside a variable. Okay, and let's create now multiple assign multiple values to a variable. So let's just keep that same example, xyz equals to, look, here I'm using single quotation signs, and let me just use some double to see if we get something different. In order to run this, what I just have to click on this thing. Now let's just see what's inside x. So it's orange. Now let's see what's inside y. Okay. And let's try this thing, writing z inside these single quotation signs. So you guys get my point. So we have getting z as it is, but if I'm just writing it without the quotation signs, without the quotation signs, then I'm getting the value that's inside it. Okay, another way of storing multiple values inside a single variable is like x, y, and z equals to orange. Okay, so we ended up having this mistake. So what I've just forgot was use this convention to store value inside it. Now let's just print all of the values. So we have all of the 3 values as, so all of the 3 variables storing that same value inside it. Okay, now let's just move towards other part. Okay, so make sure the number of variables matches the number of values. That was the one thing that we just did wrong when we just declared x comma y comma z equals to orange, because the program was expecting three different variables at that time, three different values to store on those three variables. Okay, but using that format, this particular format, what we just said like x equals y equals z equals orange, so all of them were like storing this same value. Okay, okay, so done some printing and just showed that to the user. Now unpack a collection. Okay, if you have a collection of values in a list, tuple, so these are the types of different variables. You don't really have to worry about it, just leave it for now. But let's just say Python allows you to extract the values into a variable. Let's just for now consider these things as including multiple things, both of them. Okay, and there is a slight difference between them, but for now let's just consider this particular thing as a bunch, as a whole list of things, and I am declaring a variable storing that whole list of fruits inside that variable. And now what I'm doing here is like I'm unpacking it, so which means fruit has like three values inside: 1, 2 and 3. So whenever I write fruit, then there are like three values. Okay, if I'm writing this x comma y comma z, it's like I'm creating three variables, and if I'm writing this fruit, then x is storing apple, y having banana, and z having cherry. Let's just practice this with our own hand. So list of fruits, you can see that I'm using an underscore. Okay, so list of fruits equals to, so this is a way how I create a list. You don't really have to worry about, we'll be working about this thing in our next videos, so you don't really have to be worry for now. Okay, so I'm creating a list of fruits, so let's just say banana, and then apple, and then orange, and I have to write it inside quotation signs, so that, okay, so let's just print the list first. So list underscore of, okay, so list of fruits, it's automatically recommending me. Okay, so list of fruits is this. Okay, fine. Now let's just say x, y and z equals to that list of, oh, I forgot to spell it correctly, a list of, so fruits. Okay, now let's just print, first of all let me just run this statement, and then now let's just print all those values, x, and then print y, and then printing z. Okay, so now my list is having values that were unpacked from, my variables are having values that were unpacked from the list of fruits, and which is now banana, apple and orange. Now we know how to create some multiple variables. Now let's just move towards the print statement a little bit. I'm using an output variable. Okay, so print function, I told you we'll be learning about how to use this print function properly. Okay, now let's just see here. So x equals to this complete sentence, this is used to print the value. Okay, and in the print statement your output multiple variables separated by a comma. I mean, like if you want your different variables to be printed in a single line, using a single print function, then that would be like this thing: print x comma y comma z, and now running it, so we have all of our three values. Okay, this is what it's saying right now. Okay, and now let's just move. Okay, this is what it's saying. So they have created like three variables and then just use this thing, and all of them are like showing the values. Okay, and you can also use a plus operator to output multiple variables. I mean, like x, y and z, and then using this plus sign, and we are creating a variable. Let's just practice this part too. Print x plus y plus z. Now running it. So okay, and you can easily see the difference between here, because this plus is like adding all these things. We'll talk about this addition thing in types of the variables. So notice that space character after Python and is without them is would be like for numbers, like plus character works as a mathematical operator, because x y, when we are doing this thing, then the output would be like 15, because it's just adding those things, and we know by default this is an integer and this is an integer, and it's just adding those things in the print function. When you try to combine a string and a number with the plus operator, the Python will give you an error because they both are like from different category. Okay, so when I just try to run this part, then it won't be working for me. Here we have learned like if both of them are like different, then using plus won't give you any proper solution and you will end up getting into an error. Okay, so one of the best way here is to print those statements separating them with a comma, because it won't disturb the format of it. Okay, I mean like here. Okay, let's just try to practice this thing on our Colab also. I mean, like, let me just open the Colab for you guys and let's just try to practice this thing. Okay, so let's just say if I just created two variables in a single line, x equals to this, x equals to orange, and y equals to 15. Okay, let's just run it, and yeah, it's working fine. Now printing each one of them individually will be working fine too, but if I want them to be print in a single line using a plus format, I would end up getting into an error. Okay, so the best way to do that thing is like x comma and then the value of y, the variable y, so it would be working fine. Okay, but in case if both of them are like belongs to a different belongs to a same class, then yeah, it will work definitely fine. Now it's time for our exercise part. So for the exercise part, what you have to do in the first question, you have to be creating like three variables, assigning each one of them apple, and you have to use a print function in a single line and have to print all those three values. Okay, and the other question is you have to create three variables, assign different sports name to each one of them, and then you have to use that same print function, single one, and print all those three values. Okay, now you have to practice it, and yeah, I guess it's super easy and it's not that much complicated. Okay, so thank you guys, and do practice it. Bye.